is then, ladies and gentlemen, this is my new daily slash new car that I've been teasing for a long time. This has been a long time in the making. It is my late 2017 BMW M240i. Being late 2017, this is the facelift model and it has a ton of optional extras on it. I really just had to get this one when it came up on the market. So in this video, I want to show you around the car, just introduce you to it, and we'll start off with a walk around of all of the little features and stuff that this car has on it. So then, I picked this car up as you're watching, well no, not as you're watching this, but as I'm filming this. I picked this up about 2 weeks ago, so it has been a little bit of a wait for me to share this with you. It's actually been quite frustrating because I've just sort of had the car and I've wanted to post stuff. But as you've seen, I've had a ton of Nürburgring content going out over the past few weeks, which has been fantastic and definitely not anything to miss if you haven't seen it. Anyway, today is about the new car. This is an M240i, as I mentioned. These are very popular cars, very well known on the YouTube scene and amongst you guys, I'm sure, which is part of the reason for buying this. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in future videos, exactly why I have gone for one of these as opposed to something else. Anyway, let's show you around the car today. As you can see, I'm not sure what the colour actually is called, but it's a grey colour, and notably, you'll see the bronze wheels on the side, which I think personally go very well with the grey. They are Bowler B11 wheels. They're 19 inches, and they were on the car when I bought it. I wasn't actually certain about the wheels, but I have to say, seeing it in person, they do look very good. You guys will have to see for yourself as well. And then also on the inside, we've got a red leather interior, which for me was really the dream spec, to sort of have a dark colour and a red leather interior as well. And I think with the bronze wheels and everything else, it goes really nicely. Actually, while we're on the inside, I'll talk to you about it in here. So this is a facelift, as I mentioned, and that means we've got the nice new dials there. So it's a glass display. If I turn the ignition on, you should be able to see them light up. There we go. Glass display looks really, really good. And this car in particular has got a really impressive amount of options. To be honest, like I said, when this car came up for sale, I had to buy it. Let's start here. We've got the Harman Kardon sound system. We've got the very, very rare electric seat options, and that's on both sides. You really, I'd genuinely say about 1 in 100 of the cars I saw for sale had the electric seat, so it has those. It also has a heated steering wheel, which is very nice. The ProNav display, which is the bigger screen with the maps and, you know, all of the other sort of iDrive features. And what else have we got? Heated seats, which is pretty standard. The only option this doesn't have is the adaptive suspension, but with everything else that I've got in here, I'm quite happy to let that one slide. And the other thing you might notice here on the wheel is I've got cruise control as well, which is a must for me. I really needed that, especially because I've got it in the Z4. And I should mention, the Z4 hasn't gone anywhere. I am keeping that car. That is not going anywhere. But yeah, the main difference really on the inside between this and a pre-facelift is these dials, obviously being the sort of LED glass display as opposed to the old analog dials. I kind of prefer the analog dials, but these do look better. And you will notice, of course, this is the ZF 8-speed. It's not a manual gearbox. I always wanted an automatic of some kind with my daily, although I have to say I've been driving this and the Z4 equally, because the Z4 is still so fun to drive. So ZF 8-speed gearbox with the standard pedals at the moment. I'm sure lots of this stuff will be getting changed. But let's just show you around the car a little bit more. Make sure that's just fallen off my, it's good. The joys of filming. So interior, I love. I think it looks really, really good. It's a nice place to be. Although I haven't quite worked out the seats yet. It still hurts my back a little bit. So yeah, bronze wheels, grey paintwork, looks fantastic. And actually you'll see the mirrors are the M4/M2 style mirrors. They were on the car when I picked it up. Look great. I think they probably need to go carbon fibre. But again, we'll talk about mods and stuff as the car goes on. I'd love to really just see what you guys think of this car initially anyway. Other things the previous owner did, this is a 2-owner car. The guy I bought it off, he did the wheels. He also did this carbon fibre lip, which I do like. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Potentially I'll change it for a different one, but I really like that. It's the standard non-M Sport exhaust system, so nothing special there, but the exhaust is something that will be getting changed pretty prompto, because at the moment it really does let it down. There's basically not really any sound to it at all. And yeah, basically much the same on the other side, of course. You've got, as I mentioned, the bronze wheels, big brakes on this, and blue painted calipers, which look pretty good. And round the front, the only other things that are sort of non-standard, I believe the BMW LED headlights are an option. And we've got the black kidney grills, which was done by the previous owner as well. as this gloss black front splitter, which I think looks pretty good, but I am a bit of a sucker for carbon, and I think that in the future a lot of these bits will be going carbon fibre. So really, that is it to the car. Please let me know what you think about it. I really hope you guys love this car. And I have to say, it was really actually back here about 6 months ago when I filmed a review with a black M240i. It was really at that point that I had decided this was probably the next car for me. And it has taken this long, looking on the markets, to find the right one. So this is it, and I'm very, very happy with it. So I hope you guys are as well. Anyway, it would be mean not to take the car out for a drive in the first video. So we'll go out for a drive in the car now, show you what it's like on the road, and let's have some fun. Actually, quickly before we go out for a drive, two things I have to mention. One, the car is on Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tyres, which are fantastic, actually quite good in the wet, which is, unfortunately, as I picked this car up, the weather shifted and it has been abysmal ever since. And also, I should show you under the bonnet really, this being the first video. So let me open that for you now, if I even know how to do it actually. This will be the first time I've done it since buying the car. Well, that worked. So, under here, obviously, this being an M240i, it is the all the gear, no idea. We'll just cut that out, yeah, and just this is very hot actually, bloody hell. This is the B58 block. So with the M235i's or the M135i's, whatever, you've got the N55 block, which is actually the slightly revier engine of the two and potentially the better driver's engine. But this is the B58, the sort of newer of the two, and it is a fantastic engine, unbelievably torquey. This is, I think, 340 brake horsepower, and I couldn't tell you the torque levels. I think it's about 370 pounds-feet. But we've got some sport displays in the car, which will tell us anyway. But yeah, very, very clean. This car is, like I say, a two-owner car. It's only got about 27,000 miles on the clock, and it was registered right at the start of 2018, so it's really only a couple, two and a half years old. I will also be getting a private plate for the car as well, but that's not that exciting, and you'll see it in future videos. So with that, let's jump in the car, take it on the road, and have a bit of fun. Okay, so welcome everyone for the first time into my BMW M240i. I actually can't quite believe I'm saying that. I honestly, at the start of this year, especially with everything that's gone on now, if you'd said to me by September, essentially, I would have had an M240i on the driveway, I would have laughed at you. So I may have mixed up the months a little bit in the intro, but essentially it was about 3 or 4 months ago now that I drove that M240i in this area actually that belonged to a friend of mine, and it was really at that point that I think I sort of decided that this was the car I was going to look for. So really for the last 3 or 4 months, every single day, and that's not an exaggeration, I have been checking Auto Trader for these cars and looking for obviously a certain spec because it's so much money. It's the most money I've ever spent on anything, let alone a car, and wanted to make sure it was the right spec. Just while we're coming up to an empty slit road, I might as well take the opportunity to show you launch control. Now there's an elderly gentleman just pulled over there on the right, so he might give me some stares. Nothing to look at here, sir. He is definitely staring at me. Okay, so we're going to put it in Sport Plus, across into S, foot hard down on the left brake, on the brake with my left foot, plant it, launch control active. And you can see that's motorway speed just like that. The thing is fast. The thing is very fast, which is no surprise to anyone. It was a surprise to me when I first drove one of these things, and in fact was one of the reasons I decided this could be a good car, because yes, although it's a daily and it's quite new and it's it is boring in a lot of ways. Honestly, somehow this still does put a smile on your face. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. I was looking for a long time because I was being really pernickety about the spec, and I think that's fair enough again when you consider sort of how big a financial commitment this is for me. So the things that I really wanted were Harman Kardon sound system, I wanted the Pro navigation and cruise control. Now those three things were essentially ones that I would have been willing to give up one or two of those perhaps. Certainly not cruise control, that was a must for me. Given that my Z4 even has cruise control, I couldn't have had my daily, so to speak, not having cruise control. Probably would have given up the Pro Nav or the Harman Kardon for the right car. But as you can see, this car has both. In addition to that, in an ideal world, I wanted a car in either grey or black, and a red leather interior would have been a massive bonus on top of that. And as you can see, this car is grey with a red leather interior. Also, I was wanting a facelift car that was pre-OPF GPF filter. So that basically leaves you with about half a model year of cars to look through as well that fit that criteria. And again, I probably, if the right car came up that was pre-facelift, I would have gone for it as well, because really you're paying a bit extra for some nicer dials. But I got that too. And it is a bonus that this car is grey with red leather interior. In addition to those spec options, in fact, speaking of which, I'm going to put that on. I've got a heated steering wheel, which I didn't even know until I picked up the car. Heated seats, which I guess is pretty standard actually, but nice to have nonetheless. And this one, as I mentioned in the sort of walk around, has electric seats, which is a big bonus. So, needless to say, when this car came up on the market, literally the day it came up on the market, I put a deposit down on it. And frustratingly had to wait about a week to be able to go and pick it up because it was all the way in Liverpool. So went and picked it up from Liverpool. Only thing I'm not sure about is the car is on 27,000 miles, which is actually really low, but ever so slightly higher than I would have ideally liked. But needless to say, once again, with the spec options that we've got on this, that was a very easy compromise to sort of, you know, in terms of all of the other spec. The mileage being a little bit higher than I'd like was an easy compromise, and the price I paid for it I think was pretty good. I'm going to address it in another video, but there is a small problem with this car already, and it's regarding the wheels. I think they're probably a little bit too big for the car, or the offset's wrong. There's a little bit of rubbing going on, and you may pick up on it in the video actually, but I'll probably make another video on that once I know the problem and have a resolve. Which on the wheels, in terms of a visual perspective, I really wasn't sure about them when I saw the advert. I liked the 19 inches. That sounds a bit funny, doesn't it? I liked the size of them. Also sounds I liked the wheels from the photos, but I wasn't sure about the styling and also the colour. And I know it's probably going to be a very controversial thing in the comments of this video and future videos. However, in person, let me tell you, they look better than in photos, and therefore videos as you're watching. They do really look better. And actually, as I was filming some shots of the wheels earlier, I was looking in my camera screen thinking, they don't look very good. But in person, they do, in my opinion. Now, if this issue with the wheels is actually an issue, then perhaps I'll be changing them anyway for some slightly smaller ones, and I'd probably go black wheels to give it a more stealthy look. But yeah, so I wasn't sure about the wheels, but I have to say, now having bought the car, picking it up, I think the grey, the red leather interior and the bronze of the wheels, I think it's a pretty good combination. Obviously, very biased, it's my car, I'm still in the honeymoon period with it, but I do think it looks good, and I honestly think if you saw it in person, you might change your mind if you're not such a fan of seeing them on this video, if that makes sense. Now lastly, in terms of other modifications power-wise, this is completely stock. Nothing has been done under the bonnet, and also this car doesn't have, should I say, a special exhaust. It is not even the M Sport exhaust. It is just your bog standard exhaust that comes from factory. Oh God, I'm about to get head-on. Thank you. So, I don't know, I'll actually say, in contrary to the wheels, the camera and the GoPro that you would have heard from the exhaust, where I'll run now, makes it sound better than it is. It doesn't sound that good in person. Maybe if you're standing outside the car, but that's useless to me. I'm sitting here, I can't even hear it. It sounds like well, a hairdryer would actually be doing it, you know, good service. It doesn't sound like anything. You get the most weedy crackles and pops when the car's really hot, but you know, it's not exciting at all in the slightest. So that will probably be one of the first things to get sorted on this car, will be an exhaust. Will I go for a back box delete? Maybe. Will I go for a more expensive system? Perhaps. So guys, that really is it for this video. I apologise for the waffle. I'm just quite excited. As I said, it's been a long time coming, really. I've been speaking about having another car on the channel for the best part of 2 years, and I've finally done it. It will be interesting to see what you guys think of this car, what I think of the car actually as time goes on, and how long it ends up staying. I'll be honest with you right now, after having the car for about 2 weeks, I can't see it staying more than a year. But it just depends, because when I bought the Z4, I think I was probably thinking about keeping that for a year or maybe even 2. And look where we are now. I'm pretty much 4 years into ownership of that car, 3.5 really. And I'm not going to get rid of it because I just love it. There's that little knock. That's really annoying. So who knows, guys? But this is it. This is my new M240i. I hope you are not disappointed. At the end of the day, if you are disappointed, A, I've still got the Z4, and B, it's my car. It's not your money, it's my car, my decision, and I'm happy with it. And that ultimately is all that matters. But, of course, I really do want you guys to like this car as well. And with that, I'm totally open to your suggestions, your questions, and whatever else it might be. Please do comment on this video, reach out to me on Instagram or wherever suits you. I'll be happy to chat to you about the car. And I know there'll be a whole load of you out there that also own M140is, and I think there's a great opportunity to sort of grow the community with this car. Anyway, I'll stop talking now because this is probably a really long video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure if you're new here that you're subscribing right now, and I'll see you very, very soon in the next video. Cheers.